Hi, I'm Ken Kessler, and welcome to the Sounds of Christmas podcast. If you're new to this podcast, I want to start by saying thanks for joining us. If you're not new, welcome back. Either way, I'm very glad that you're here. Now, to avoid any confusion, I want to start off right away and tell you there won't be any music played here. This is a place for conversation. I'll talk about Christmas music and some related topics, sometimes by myself and sometimes with guests. If you're looking for music, just go to soundsofchristmas.com and click on the tree or the player on the front page or on the Listen Now page. We play the best variety of Christmas music all year long. Well, except in October, when we play the best variety of Halloween music. I'm very excited to have singer-songwriter Karla Bonoff with us on this episode of the podcast. Hi, Karla.
Hi.
I've worked with and written songs for an amazing array of people. And I don't want this to be like an episode of This Is Your Life, Karla Bonoff, but I want to hit some of the highlights, or at least some of the ones I think are highlights. Linda Ronstadt, Andrew Gold, members of the Eagles, Bonnie Raitt, Wynonna Judd, and Trisha Yearwood, just to name a few. You've got songs on soundtracks from Footloose to 8 Seconds. And the song you wrote, All My Life, recorded by Linda Ronstadt and Aaron Neville, even won a Grammy. You've had hits of your own, written hits for others, toured all over the globe. And then last year, you finally released a Christmas album. I'm torn between saying what took so long and was this something that you had been meaning to do for a while?
Well, I think because all of our concerts were postponed because of COVID, and I was suddenly looking at, a 9-month to a year landscape of not traveling. It seemed like, after we kind of got past the making bread and cleaning up your closets part, it was like, well, there must be something else that we can be doing with our time. So I thought it would be fun to just record 1 or 2 Christmas songs. Really, that's all we were going to do, is just 1 or 2 and put them out for fun or see if they could get licensed somewhere. And I started recording with my friend Sean McHugh, who lives also where I live. And we kind of created a COVID bubble where we could work just with each other and maybe 1 or 2 other people. And we just started doing them, and they were so much fun that we just kept going, and it became a CD, really unbeknownst to me. It wasn't my plan, but I didn't have enough songs really for a new album, but it just seemed like something to kind of keep the time going. And it ended up being very creative and super fun.
The album's called Silent Night, and most of the songs that are on there are non-secular. There's the title song, Away in a Manger, Oh Holy Night, Angels We Have Heard on High. And then kind of right in the middle is your cover of Joni Mitchell's River, which really fits nicely in with these other more traditional songs. How did you happen to pick that one to cover?
Well, that's always been one of my favorite songs, just, in general, and also one of my favorite Christmas songs. I think a lot of people relate to that loneliness on Christmas as well. She wrote that at the time about having just broken up with someone, and so she was sad, and it just seemed like a great song to include, because a lot of the other ones are, they're very Christmassy, but it was an opportunity for me to record one of her songs, which I really have never done.
And then the album closes with a really beautiful original song, Everybody's Home Tonight, which is 180 degrees from River. It's a much more hopeful kind of song. Is this the first original Christmas song that you've written?
Yes, and actually I wrote that probably in 1974 or 5. It's really old. I wrote it with Kenny Edwards when I was first really just writing songs. So it was something that was kind of, from my past and never really had a place to put it. I would play it on the road sometimes. And I think our band Brindle did record it on a little special promotional CD, but for the most part, really, no one's ever heard that song. So it was fun to finally put that on a record.
You also have a version of the first Noel on Silent Night, and this is a song that you had previously recorded. I worked in traditional radio for around 30 years. And I remember that your version of the first Noel was like a staple at Christmas time. We always pulled it out. It always got requests. Do you remember when you recorded that and how you happened to record just that song?
Back, oh gosh, when we did those, I think in the 80s, there was a fellow named Steve Vouse who was doing some series of albums called The Stars Come Out for Christmas, which was a benefit for the Children's Hospital in San Diego, I believe. And so a lot of artists, myself, Stephen Bishop, Andrew Gold, Nicolette Larson, we all contributed our time, and we each did a song for that. I really never knew that, if anything would happen with it. But as you're pointing out, and I recorded that song, The First Noel, like just in the day with my friend Ira Ingber. And you're right, I hear it every Christmas. I hear it where I live. It's kind of fascinating how things like that become staples. But we did decide to re-record it just to have a newer version of it.
And this year, Silent Night is being reissued with a couple extra songs. You recorded O Come, Emmanuel with Michael McDonald. Have you worked with him before?
Not really recording. I've opened a few shows for him, and we've been friends just because we live in the same town. But when I was going to record a couple of new things for this record, part of it was we didn't have a lot of time last year, and we were still working on it in November. So we really, if we were going to get it out for Christmas, we needed to just stop and put it out. But we always felt like it maybe needed a few more songs. So these were a few more left on the list that we didn't do. And when I was thinking about it, I just thought, wow, I should just see if Michael will come sing this. And he was just absolutely, I will. And he came, and it was just such an honor for me, such a huge fan. And to sing, it's basically a duet with him was so exciting, and I think people are really responding to it.
Yeah, it's terrific, and he's recorded lots of Christmas music on his own. Of course, people know him more from his solo music and his career earlier on with the Doobie Brothers. The other new song that's on Silent Night this year is "O Come, All Ye Faithful." Was this just another one on your list that you didn't get to last year?
Yeah, it was one on the list, and we didn't get to it. And Sean, who's a musician and a producer who I worked with, he just had the cool idea for it. So sometimes he just goes with those ideas, and he'll send me a track, and I'll go, wow, that's great. And so he just he led the way on that one. So sometimes, our challenge was to try to find ways to do these songs a little bit differently, to try to rearrange them or make them more modern. And, he's really good at that. So that's part of the success of this album, was having him involved in, helping me sort of find new ways to record these songs.
One of the things I really like about "O Come All Ye Faithful," your new version of it, is that it's very upbeat and hopeful and joyful, which is great for this time of year. Usually you hear that song and it's very contemplative, it's very solemn, but this really captures the joy of the season. Was that your intention?
Like I said, I think Sean he's an upbeat kind of guy, and he likes up music. And I think, that was just his sort of inspiration, was to make it something, hopeful and joyful like that. And I think he did a great job. Because I tend to, I play ballads, and I tend to go the other direction. So he's a good contrast for me.
Were there other songs on your list that you didn't get to that we might hear somewhere down the road? Other Christmas songs?
I think at least for this year, we did our list. I would have to start digging deeper. It was an interesting process, trying to find things that people haven't heard too much, and yet trying to do the things that people love to hear. So, trying not to, for me, some of it gets too religious, and, I want to do too much of that. So it's a challenge, I think, sort of finding things that are right there in the middle that work. But hopefully every year we'll find a few more and add to the collection.
Oh, that would be great. And I know exactly what you mean. There are some songs that you hear so many versions over and over and over again. It is tricky finding something new. Any inspiration to write something new, some new Christmas music?
Oh, we should be doing that. Yeah, I have to figure out. We were thinking we should have written a COVID Christmas song. We didn't quite get to it, but yeah. I think next year that would be a good thing to do is to write something new, update things.
I know you've been able to get back out on the road and do some more touring. Any Christmas shows coming up? I know you've got some certainly non-Christmas shows coming up in 2022.
We're looking into that. Sean and I feel like we could go out and play a Christmas show. So, we're throwing it out there and see if people want us to do that. I don't really quite know yet if it's going to happen, but if it would be sort of next Christmas. Mm-hmm.
Other than the potential new shows and the other tour that's going on, I think you're back out on the road in February. Anything else that you have on the agenda for either the rest of this year or coming up in 2022?
Well, this year we've been working really hard making up all of our dates that we lost in 2020. So I've been on the road pretty much solid since September, but I'm looking forward to rest actually now. And then 2022, I think we're just going to hopefully get back up to 100% out there playing and performing. And, that's what it's looking like. I'm being hopeful for that.
What's the best way for people to connect with you? Is it through your website or social media?
Both. I have a Facebook page, and that has kind of current things that are going on. And also karlabonoff.com. We have a webpage where you can see our tour dates and buy merchandise, CDs, listen to, old stuff, look at discography. So all that info is deeply there on the website. So I would say either of those two places.
Anything else in particular that stands out to you when you were recording Silent Night that you think people would like to know about?
I don't know. I think we've kind of talked about how it came about, and that really was the most interesting part of it. The rest of it was just sort of trying to have fun during COVID. So I think we covered it.
Well, thank you so much for giving us some time and joining us on the podcast today to talk about Christmas music.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here.
And thank you for listening, helping us share some Christmas spirit, and for helping this podcast continue to grow. Since you're listening now, you've obviously found us somewhere. But if there's another site you like to use for podcasts, check out our podcast page on our website for the complete list of everywhere you can listen to the Sounds of Christmas podcast. And again, the website is www.soundsofchristmas.com. Then just click on the podcast tab. For the Sounds of Christmas station, to listen to the music, you'll need to stick with our website or our app in the Google Play Store. If you have comments or suggestions, feel free to reach out to me on social media or through our website. Thanks again. And may you always believe in Santa Claus.